Albert Camus and the Search for Meaning in Life. A Journey Through His Works. 1. Introduction. The absurd and the search for meaning. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. This potent declaration by Albert Camus encapsulates the essence of his philosophical quest, the search for meaning in a world seemingly devoid of inherent purpose. This video delves into the intellectual odyssey of Albert Camus and his relentless pursuit of meaning in the face of the absurd. Drawing on an analysis of existing scholarship on Camus, we will navigate the complex terrain of his philosophical ideas by examining his major works, including novels, essays, and plays. Through this exploration, we will analyze how Camus grapples with fundamental questions of existence, freedom, and the human condition, and how his ideas continue to resonate with readers in the 21st century. This is to illustrate how Albert Camus emerged as a prominent literary and philosophical figure in the mid-20th century, a period marked by the aftermath of the Second World War and existentialist. Central to Camus' philosophy is the concept of the absurd, which he defines as the fundamental conflict between the human desire for meaning and the indifferent silence of the universe. This inherent contradiction shapes Camus' worldview and fuels his exploration of human existence. 2. The early life of Albert Camus. Albert Camus was born on November 7, 1913 in Mendovi, Algeria, which was then a part of France. He grew up in a working-class family. His father, Lucien, was a French settler who died in World War I when Camus was just a year old. His mother, Catherine, was of Spanish descent and raised him and his brother in a modest environment. The early education of Camus was significantly impacted by his family's financial situation. He attended a local school and later earned a scholarship to the University of Algiers, where he studied philosophy. During his youth, he developed a passion for literature, theater, and the works of influential thinkers, including Nietzsche and Kierkegaard. In addition to his academic pursuits, Camus was a talented athlete and played soccer, which contributed to his lifelong interest in sports. However, his health was often fragile. He struggled with tuberculosis during his early adulthood, which shaped much of his life and thinking. These early experiences in Algeria, along with the existential and absurdist themes that would later permeate his works, laid the foundation for his philosophical outlook and literary contributions throughout his career. 3. Early works. Confronting the absurd. The early works of Albert Camus lay the foundation for his philosophical exploration of the absurd. His upbringing in a working-class family in Algeria exposed him to the harsh realities of human existence. This background fostered at the same time a deep empathy toward human suffering and a skepticism about societal structures, particularly the colonial system that governed his homeland. As a journalist, Camus covered criminal courts, where he witnessed the workings of law and justice firsthand. This role provided him an intimate look at the complexity. He observed how arbitrary social and legal norms could affect individuals, leading to a broader contemplation of moral ambiguity and the capricious nature of fate. The Stranger, published in 1942, The Stranger is one of the most famous works of Albert Camus and serves as a foundational text in exploring themes of absurdism and existentialism. The novel's protagonist, Mersault, embodies the philosophical ideas that underpin Camus' understanding of the human condition. 1. Character of Mersault. Mersault is characterized as an emotionally detached individual who approaches life with a sense of indifference. His reactions to significant events, such as his mother's death, are notably apathetic. He does not mourn in a traditional sense and exhibits a lack of conventional emotional responses. This detachment establishes him as an outsider, not only in his social interactions, but also in a broader, existential context. 2. Events and actions. O Mother's Death. Mersault's reaction to his mother's funeral is largely focused on sensory experiences, like the heat and the sun, rather than emotional grief. His indifference highlights a central aspect of absurdism, the arbitrary nature of human responses to life's event. The murder of the Arab. The pivotal moment in the novel occurs when Mersault kills an Arab man on the beach, an act that is not premeditated, but rather influenced by the oppressive heat and his dispassionate state. This act becomes a catalyst for the examination of his character and societal values. 3. Themes of alienation and indifference. The novel explores how Mersault's indifference alienates him from society. His failure to adhere to expected emotional norms leads others to label him as an outsider. The societal response to his actions reflects a deeper commentary on how individuals are judged not only by their actions, but by their emotional engagement or lack thereof. 4. Absurdism and lack of inherent meaning. Camus uses Mersault's experiences to illustrate the notion that life lacks intrinsic meaning. The events surrounding the murder and the subsequent trial underscore the absurdity of human existence, revealing a world governed by randomness rather than rationality. Mersault's acceptance of his fate, particularly his impending execution, highlights moral and existential challenge. Throughout the novel, conventional notions of morality and justice are questioned. As Mersault faces trial, the focus shifts from the act of murder to his character and emotional responses. The jury and society demand adherence to their moral codes, which Mersault, in his absurd view, neither accepts nor rejects fervently. He merely observes. Ultimately, The Stranger serves as a powerful exploration of the human condition, confronting readers with the discomfort of a life devoid of inherent meaning and the complexities of existence. Mersault's narrative invites reflection on personal freedom, the nature of humanity, and the absurdity of life itself. The Myth of Sisyphus. In The Myth of Sisyphus, published in 1942, Camus delves deeply into existential themes and the concept of the absurd. Using the Greek myth of Sisyphus as a foundational metaphor, Camus illustrates the human condition and offers insights into how individuals can confront life's inherent meaninglessness. 1. The Myth of Sisyphus. In Greek mythology, Sisyphus is punished by the gods for his deceit and hubris, condemned to roll a massive boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down each time he reaches the top. This cyclical and futile task serves as a poignant symbol of the repetitive nature of human struggle and the existential plight of individuals. 2. Absurdity of existence. Camus argues that life itself is devoid of intrinsic meaning, highlighting the disconnect between humans' desire for purpose and the indifferent universe. This realization leads to the recognition of absurdity, the conflict between our search for significance and the silent universe that offers none. 3. Revolt against despair. Rather than surrendering to despair or nihilism, which can arise from the recognition of absurdity, Camus advocates for a stance of rebellion. He suggests that embracing absurdity can be liberating. Individuals can confront the futility of their existence and choose to find personal meaning through their own actions and experiences. 4. Finding meaning in the struggle. For Camus, the key to coping with absurdity lies in Sisyphus's defiant struggle. It is not the success of reaching the summit that gives life meaning, but rather the act of rolling the boulder itself and the recognition of one's struggle against the absurd. Camus famously concludes that one must imagine Sisyphus happy, emphasizing that true freedom comes from acceptance of one's fate and the act of defiance in the face of futility. 5. Philosophical implications. Camus' exploration in The Myth of Sisyphus challenges readers to reconsider their approach to life. Instead of seeking external truths or overarching meanings, he encourages individuals to cultivate their own understanding of existence through lived experiences and personal engagement with the world. The Myth of Sisyphus presents a profound reflection on the human condition, urging individuals to embrace the absurdity of life. By acknowledging life's inherent meaninglessness and actively revolting against it, one can find a sense of freedom and personal significance, much like Sisyphus with his eternal task. 3. Revolt and Rebellion, the exploration of the absurd by Albert Camus broadens into a profound analysis of revolt and rebellion, which he positions as critical responses to injustice and oppression. His reflections on these concepts reveal a nuanced understanding of human agency and moral responsibility, especially in the context of societal and existential dilemmas. 1. Absurdity and the call to revolt. For Camus, recognizing the absurdity of existence is not a reason for despair, but a foundation for rebellion. He believes that when individuals confront the meaninglessness of life, they are faced with a choice: to succumb to nihilism and despair, or to revolt against the absurd condition of existence and societal injustices. This rebellion is an affirmation of life and an assertion of personal freedom. 2. Forms of rebellion. Camus distinguishes between various forms of rebellion, stressing the importance of purposefulness in such actions. He advocates for a form of revolt that is not merely destructive or chaotic, but is rooted in ethical considerations. This distinction is crucial. Rebellion can take many forms, but it must be guided by a respect for human values and a commitment to justice. 3. Limits and moderation. Central to Camus' philosophy is his caution against falling into nihilism or the embrace of totalitarian ideologies. He warns that unchecked rebellion can lead to an ethical void where the rights and dignity of individuals are compromised. By emphasizing moderation and ethical constraints, he advocates for a rebellion that seeks constructive change without losing sight. 4. Contrast with Sartre. This perspective contrasts sharply with the views of other existentialist philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre. Sartre embraced the idea of absolute freedom, suggesting that individuals are free to create their own meaning and values without constraints or obligations. While this notion celebrates individual freedom, it can also lead to moral ambiguity and a disregard for the shared humanity of others. 5. Solidarity and human dignity. Camus, on the other hand, believes that any meaningful revolt must be grounded in solidarity and respect for human dignity. He asserts that true rebellion acknowledges the interconnectedness of individuals and the responsibility one has toward others. This ethical framework encourages rebels to consider the impact of their actions on society as a whole, fostering a community-oriented approach to change. It can be stated that Camus' exploration of absurdity and rebellion calls for a conscientious engagement with injustice and oppression. His advocacy for rebellion, rooted in ethical constraints and solidarity, distinguishes him from other existentialist thinkers. By emphasizing the importance of moderation, respect for human dignity, and a commitment to collective values, Camus articulates a philosophy of revolt that aims not only for personal freedom, but also for a just and humane society. The Plague, Albert Camus' novel, The Plague, published in 1947, serves as a rich allegorical exploration of the human condition, emphasizing themes of suffering, resistance, and solidarity. Set in the coastal Algerian city of Oran, the narrative unfolds as a deadly epidemic forces the townspeople to confront their mortality, relationships, and the broader existential realities of life. 1. allegory of the human struggle. The plague itself functions as a powerful symbol of existential and societal crises. While it can be interpreted as a representation of disease and death, it also reflects broader themes of oppression, totalitarianism, and the absurdity of human existence. The outbreak disrupts the status quo, compelling inhabitants to grapple with their fears, beliefs, and the fundamental nature of their lives. 2. Dr. Rio as a symbol of revolt. Dr. Bernard Rio, the protagonist and narrator, epitomizes the spirit of revolt against suffering and the absurd. His relentless efforts to combat the plague, driven by a profound sense of duty and compassion, illustrate how individuals can embody resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. Rio's dedication to saving lives, despite the apparent futility of his efforts, showcases the strength of the human spirit when confronted with suffering. 3. Resilience and solidarity. The novel emphasizes the importance of collective responsibility and community in combating suffering. As the plague ravages Oran, the citizens must band together to confront their predicament. This unity in the face of shared hardship fosters a sense of solidarity among individuals, highlighting the essential human need for connection and cooperation during crises. Camus illustrates how communal efforts can confronting mortality and fragility. The plague forces characters to confront their mortality and the transient nature of human existence. Through their struggles, Camus explores the fragility of life and the inevitability of suffering. Characters are compelled to reflect on their values, relationships, and the fleeting moments of joy that punctuate their lives, illustrating the profound existential questions that arise when faced with crisis. 5. Search for meaning. Amidst this backdrop of suffering, the plague examines the search for meaning in an indifferent universe. Rio's commitment to combating the plague suggests that, while life may be devoid of intrinsic meaning, individuals can create significance through their actions and relationships. The novel encourages readers to find purpose in compassion, loyalty, and shared humanity, reminding them that even in the darkest times, there exists the potential for hope and resilience. The plague stands as a compelling allegorical narrative that delves into the complexities of the human experience in the face of suffering. Through the character of Dr. Rio and the collective response of the citizens of Oran, Camus underscores the importance of solidarity, resilience, and the search for meaning, ultimately highlighting humanity's capacity to confront the absurdities of life with dignity and compassion. The rebel Albert Camus expands upon his exploration of rebellion in The Rebel, published in 1951, where he examines it as a vital response to the absurdity of existence and the injustices pervasive in society. This philosophical essay serves as a critical reflection on the nature of rebellion throughout history and its implications for both individuals and society. 1. Examining forms of rebellion. Camus analyzes various forms of rebellion, ranging from individual acts of defiance to large-scale collective movements and revolutions. He highlights significant historical examples, such as political uprisings and revolutionary actions, illustrating how these acts often arise from a deep sense of injustice. However, he also emphasizes that not all rebellion is equal in its intent or consequence. 2. Rebellion as affirmation of life. Central to the philosophy of Camus is the idea that true rebellion is not merely about destruction or negation. Rather, it is an affirmation of life and humanity. He posits that rebellion should stem from a recognition of shared suffering and the inherent dignity of individuals. By resisting oppression, rebels assert their existence and advocate for a world that honors human values and rights, rather than succumbing to despair. 3. Caution against nihilism and violence. Camus cautions against the risks associated with revolutionary violence and the potential for rebellion to devolve into nihilism. He argues that some movements may lose sight of their original goals and become consumed by a desire for power or vengeance, ultimately perpetuating a cycle of oppression. This critique serves as a warning against ideologies that justify brutal means to achieve ends that could conflict with the very humanity they aim to uphold. 4. Totalitarian ideologies. One of Camus' significant concerns is the rise of totalitarian ideologies, which he views as perversions of rebellion. He discusses how movements that begin with the intent of achieving social justice can transform into oppressive regimes that stifle individual freedom. This transformation highlights the precarious nature of rebellion and the delicate balance between fighting for justice and falling into authoritarianism. 5. Underlying ethical framework. Throughout The Rebel, Camus emphasizes the importance of an ethical framework to guide rebellion. He insists that a successful and just rebellion must respect human dignity and prioritize solidarity among individuals. By adhering to ethical constraints, rebels can cultivate a form of resistance that not only challenges injustice, but also builds a more humane and just society. Undoubtedly, The Rebel serves as a profound philosophical inquiry into the nature of rebellion and its implications for humanity. Through his exploration of various forms of rebellion, Camus highlights the need for rebellion to be an affirmation of life rather than mere destruction. By cautioning against nihilism and totalitarianism, he calls for a mindful and ethical approach to resistance, advocating for a collective fight for justice that respects and uplifts human values. 4. In his later works, Albert Camus exhibits a shift in focus that reflects a deeper engagement with the moral ambiguities and complexities of the human experience. This evolution in his thought moves beyond the earlier, more existential assertions of absurdity to a more intricate exploration of ethical dilemmas, personal responsibility, and the multifaceted nature of existence. 1. Nuanced exploration of morality. The later writings of Camus often delve into the intricacies of moral decision-making and the consequences of human actions. He acknowledges that life is rarely binary, and that individuals often face situations where right and wrong are not clearly defined. This acknowledgement of moral ambiguity invites readers to reflect on their values and the multifaceted nature of human motivations. 2. Themes of guilt and judgment. Camus profoundly examines the themes of guilt and judgment through the selection of characters in his writings and tries to reveal the burdens of guilt and the pervasive nature of judgment, both self-imposed and societal. Camus emphasizes how individuals often confront their own complicity in injustice and the ways they negotiate their identities in light of their actions. 3. Search for redemption. Camus wrestles with the idea of redemption in a world marked by uncertainty and suffering. Unlike traditional notions of redemption that may rely on religious or absolute frameworks, his explorations are rooted in human experience. He questions whether true redemption is possible, or if it is intertwined with the acceptance of one's flaws and the acknowledgement of the complexities of human nature. 4. Elusiveness of clear-cut answers. A significant aspect of Camus' later philosophy is the recognition that clear-cut answers are often elusive. He reflects on the limitations of human understanding and how certainty may be an illusion in an absurd world. This perspective encourages a more humble and introspective approach to life's challenges, one that is open to questioning and ambiguity. 5. Personal responsibility and action. Despite the acknowledgement of moral ambiguity, Camus continues to advocate for personal responsibility and actions grounded in ethical considerations. He believes that individuals must navigate their moral landscapes with an awareness of the consequences of their choices. This ongoing emphasis on personal agency reflects his commitment to finding meaning and purpose within the complexities of existence. It can be stated that Camus' later works signify a more sophisticated exploration of the moral landscape of human life, characterized by a focus on guilt, judgment, and the search for redemption. By grappling with themes of ambiguity and the elusiveness of clear answers, he invites readers to engage deeply with their moral beliefs and responsibilities, emphasizing the importance of authenticity and ethical reflection in navigating the complexities of existence. The Fall, Albert Camus, presents a profound exploration of human psychology in The Fall, published in 1956. To accomplish this, he uses the character of Jean-Baptiste Clements, whose narrative serves as a vehicle for examining complex themes of guilt, self-deception, and the quest for redemption. The novel's structure, tone, and philosophical depth contribute to its status as one of Camus' seminal works. 1. Narrative perspective. The novel is framed as a monologue delivered by Clements in a bar in Amsterdam, where he confesses his thoughts and feelings to an unnamed listener. This confessional style invites readers into Clements' introspective journey, engaging them in a dialogue about moral dilemmas and existential insights. The setting of the bar, a place of reflection and judgment, underscores the themes of the narrative. 2. Exploration of guilt. Clements' character embodies the theme of guilt as he grapples with the moral implications of his past actions. He recalls his successful life as a lawyer in Paris, portraying an image of a virtuous and self-assured individual. However, as the narrative unfolds, it becomes clear that this self-image is built on self-deception. Clements reflects on instances where he failed to act in the face of others' suffering, leading him to confront the guilt he has long repressed. 3. Self-deception and moral ambiguity. A key element in Clements' story is his recognition of the self-deception that has characterized much of his life. He acknowledges that he lived in denial of his flaws and the darker aspects of human nature. This process of confronting his moral ambiguity leads him to recognize that no one is entirely innocent, and that all individuals share complicity in the imperfections of humanity. 4. The judge penitent. The concept of the judge penitent is central to Clements' character and to the philosophical themes of the novel. As a judge penitent, Clements finds himself in a dual role where he simultaneously judges himself and others, grappling with feelings of superiority while seeking redemption for his moral failings. This duality highlights the complexity of human consciousness and the often contradictory nature of self-perception. A person can be critical of others while being acutely aware of their own shortcomings. 5. Self-awareness and responsibility. Camus emphasizes that true self-awareness emerges from an acknowledgement of one's flaws and the moral burden of guilt. Clements' journey illustrates that confronting personal failures and accepting responsibility are essential steps toward achieving authenticity and connection with others. This perspective on guilt and redemption moves beyond traditional notions of sin and forgiveness, suggesting that understanding the human condition requires a deep engagement with one's own imperfections. The Fall serves as a compelling exploration of human psychology that delves into themes of guilt, self-deception, and the quest for redemption. Through the character of Jean-Baptiste Clements, Camus articulates a nuanced understanding of moral ambiguity and responsibility, emphasizing the importance of self-awareness and the acceptance of human fallibility as essential components of the journey toward understanding oneself and achieving authenticity. Exile and the Kingdom. This collection of short stories entitled Exile and the Kingdom was published in 1957 and encapsulates the ongoing exploration of themes such as alienation, exile, and the quest for belonging by Albert Camus. Each story provides a unique lens through which the intricacies of the human experience are examined, reflecting both Camus' philosophical concerns and his personal experiences. 1. Themes of alienation and displacement. The stories in this collection depict characters who experience profound feelings of alienation and displacement, often set against the backdrop of unfamiliar or oppressive environments. These characters wrestle with their identities and the estrangement they feel from the world around them. This exploration of alienation resonates with Camus' own experiences of being exiled from Algeria and illustrates the psychological impact of feeling disconnected from one's homeland or community. 2. Cultural and political divisions. The varying settings of the stories, from Algeria to Europe, underscore the cultural and political divisions that can create a sense of exile for individuals. The characters navigate complex social landscapes that reflect the tensions and conflicts surrounding identity, culture, and belonging. In this way, Camus illustrates how external circumstances and historical contexts can influence personal experiences of belonging and isolation. 3. Search for meaning. At the heart of these stories is a persistent quest for meaning in the face of existential uncertainties. The characters often confront situations that challenge their beliefs and values, prompting them to reflect on their lives and their place in the world. This search for meaning is often characterized by moments of introspection and the realization that conventional answers may be inadequate in deciphering the complexities of existence. 4. Personal experiences of exile. The personal life experiences of Albert Camus greatly inform the narratives in Exile and the Kingdom. Having left Algeria due to political unrest and faced with the challenges of living in a divided world, he infused these stories with a sense of urgency and authenticity. The characters' struggles mirror Camus' contemplations on identity, belonging, and the difficulties of understanding oneself in a constantly shifting socio-political landscape. 5. Human connection and solidarity. Despite the overarching themes of exile and isolation, Camus' stories also emphasize the importance of human connection and the potential for solidarity among individuals. Through moments of shared experience, empathy, and understanding, the characters often find a glimmer of hope amid their struggles. This acknowledgement of the significance of relationships underscores the notion that belonging can be found not only in places but also in emotional bonds with others. It can be stated that Exile and the Kingdom presents a poignant exploration of alienation, exile, and the search for belonging through a series of interconnected short stories. By depicting characters grappling with their displacement and the quest for meaning in diverse settings, Camus offers insights into the complexities of human identity while drawing upon his own experiences. The collection ultimately underscores the significance of human connection, suggesting that amid the challenges of isolation, it is through relationships that individuals can find a sense of belonging and purpose. 5. Theater and the stage. Albert Camus' engagement with the absurd is not limited to his novels and essays. It also significantly manifests in his theatrical works. Through his plays, Camus addresses complex themes of power, freedom, and the ethical dilemmas surrounding political violence, further enriching his philosophical exploration of human existence. Camus believed that theater could effectively convey the existential struggles faced by individuals, particularly in a world where absurdity prevails. Camus employs dramatic narratives, to illustrate the conflicts between personal morality and the often brutal realities of political power. The stage becomes a space for examining the tension between human ideals and the chaotic conditions of life. Throughout all plays for theater, Camus continues to grapple with the search for meaning in a world marked by absurdity. The characters often confront their existential dilemmas, reflecting on the weight of their choices and the impact of their actions on others. This ongoing inquiry into meaning, morality, and the human condition is a hallmark of Camus' philosophy and remains central to his theatrical endeavors. Camus' theatrical works serve as a powerful extension of his engagement with the absurd, offering insights into themes of power, freedom, and the ethical dilemmas surrounding political violence. Through thought-provoking narratives and complex characters, he challenges audiences to reflect on the human experience, the consequences of individual choices, and the moral implications of societal structures. The theater becomes a dynamic medium for exploring the intricacies of existence in a world where absurdity reigns and the quest for meaning persists. Caligula, Albert Camus' play Caligula, written in 1944, presents a powerful examination of the nature of power, the human condition, and the philosophical implications of nihilism through the lens of the infamous Roman Emperor Caligula. Set against the backdrop of ancient Rome, the play serves as a dramatic exploration of tyranny, madness, nihilism, and descent into tyranny. The character of Caligula embodies a profound nihilistic worldview, particularly following the death of his beloved sister, Drusilla. This loss thrusts him into an existential crisis, prompting him to question the meaning and purpose of life. In his search for clarity and significance, Caligula adopts a radical philosophy that rejects traditional values and morals, leading him to pursue absolute power. His descent into tyranny becomes a reflection of the absurdity of existence and the darkness that can arise when one grapples with meaninglessness. 2. Corrupting influence of power. Caligula explores the corrupting nature of power and its ability to distort and degrade the individual. As Caligula ascends to power, he becomes increasingly detached from humanity and morality. His tyrannical rule is marked by acts of cruelty, sadism, and arbitrary violence, revealing how power can consume and corrupt even those who once held noble aspirations. Camus uses Caligula's character to illustrate the dangers, limits of freedom. The play critically examines the ambiguity surrounding freedom and the paradoxes inherent in the pursuit of personal liberty. Caligula believes that by abandoning all norms and conventions, he can achieve a form of ultimate freedom. However, this freedom ultimately leads to chaos and the suffering of those around him. The play raises questions about the true nature of freedom, whether it can exist without constraints, and whether absolute freedom might instead lead to tyranny and oppression. 4. Consequences of nihilism. Caligula's embrace of nihilism manifests in his actions and philosophy as he seeks to assert his dominance and challenge the existing moral order. His attempts to exert control over life and death, as well as his desire to generate fear and uncertainty, reflect a rejection of traditional ethical frameworks. The consequences of this nihilism become evident as his reign results in widespread suffering, rebellion, and ultimately, his own assassination, serving as a cautionary tale about the dangers of living without a moral compass. 5. Existential themes. Throughout Caligula, Camus engages with existential themes, particularly the absurdity of existence and the struggle to find meaning in a chaotic world. Caligula's dialogues reveal his attempts to confront the meaningless nature of life, leading to his rejection of societal norms and the embrace of a destructive freedom. The play invites the audience to reflect on their own beliefs about power, freedom, and the ethical responsibilities that accompany human choices. In summary, Camus' Caligula serves as a profound exploration of the interplay between power, nihilism, and the complexities of the human condition. Through the character of Caligula, the play illustrates how the pursuit of absolute power can lead to moral decay and tyranny, ultimately raising important questions about freedom, ethics, and the search for meaning in an often absurd and chaotic universe. The Just Assassins, Albert Camus' play, The Just Assassins, written in 1949, presents a compelling exploration of the ethical dilemmas inherent in political violence and the intricacies of revolutionary action. Through the story of a group of Russian revolutionaries plotting to assassinate a Grand Duke, Camus delves into the moral conflicts that arise when individuals grapple with the justification of violence in the pursuit of political change. 1. Plot overview. The play revolves around the members of a revolutionary group, especially the characters of d'Aubigny and his fellow conspirators, who are committed to the idea of assassinating the Grand Duke. As they prepare for the act, the characters engage in intense discussions and debates about the justification for their planned violence and the broader implications it holds for their idealistic aspirations. 2. Ethical dilemmas of political violence. Camus presents the complex ethical landscape surrounding acts of political violence. The characters must confront the reality that their actions will lead to the intentional taking of a human life. Camus uses their internal conflicts to examine the tension between their revolutionary ideals and the moral weight of committing murder. While they are motivated by a desire to overthrow tyranny and oppression, they must grapple with the ethical implications of their choices and the potential consequences of their actions. 3. Justification for violence. The play raises critical questions about when, if ever, violence can be justified in the name of political change. The characters engage in discussions about the revolutionary ideal and the sacrifices necessary to achieve it. Some argue that the assassination is a means to an end, while others express doubt about whether violence can truly bring about a more just society. Camus' exploration of this theme reflects the broader historical context of post-World War II tensions and the ethical challenges faced by revolutionaries. 4. Complexities of revolutionary ethics. Camus delves into the complexities of revolutionary ethics, highlighting that noble intentions can be easily compromised by the methods employed to achieve them. As the characters interact, it becomes clear that even the most righteous causes can lead to moral ambiguity and loss of integrity. The potential for revolutionaries to lose sight of their original ideals in the pursuit of their goals emerges as a central concern within the narrative. 5. Corruption of noble causes. The characters' discussions also touch upon the potential for violence to corrupt their revolutionary ideals. Camus suggests that the very act of resorting to violence can taint a noble cause, leading to moral decay and disillusionment. The characters' struggles reflect the notion that, while revolutions may be born of righteous anger and a desire for justice, the means of achieving such ends can undermine the integrity of the movement itself. 6. Existential themes. The Just Assassins resonates with Camus' broader existential themes, challenging the audience to contemplate the nature of human existence, choice, and responsibility. The characters' struggles with their decisions compel them to confront their own humanity, the weight of their actions, and the complexities of fighting for justice in an imperfect world. In summary, The Just Assassins serves as a thought-provoking examination of the ethical dilemmas associated with political violence and revolution. Through the characters' internal conflicts and philosophical discussions, Camus raises important questions about the justification for violence, the complexities of revolutionary ethics, and the potential for even the noblest causes to be compromised by the very acts meant to promote justice and change. The play ultimately invites audiences to reflect on the moral responsibilities that accompany political action and the challenges inherent in striving for a more just society. 6. Conclusion. A legacy of meaning in an absurd world. Albert Camus' philosophical and literary legacy is marked by an incisive examination of the human condition, confronted with the absurd, the idea that life lacks inherent meaning and that individuals must navigate a world governed by randomness, suffering, and uncertainty. His body of work spans novels, essays, plays, and philosophical treatises, all of which contribute to a nuanced exploration of the absurd. Central to Camus' philosophy is the concept of the absurd, which arises from the conflict between human beings' desire for significance and the indifferent universe that offers none. In works such as The Myth of Sisyphus, he articulates this tension, suggesting that the realization of life's absurdity does not lead to despair, but rather to a renewed appreciation for life itself. This foundational idea permeates his literary and philosophical pursuits. 2. Rejection of nihilism. Camus acknowledges the absurdity of existence, but consciously rejects nihilism, the belief that life is meaningless and unworthy of engagement. Instead of succumbing to despair, he champions the idea of revolt, emphasizing that individuals possess the capacity to create their own meaning and value in an uncaring world. This rebellion against the absurdity of life represents an act of defiance that affirms one's existence and humanity. 3. Emphasis on human values. Camus' philosophy advocates for an unwavering commitment to human value. He argues that even in the face of absurdity, individuals should strive for justice, empathy, and solidarity. His works highlight the importance of shared human experiences as a means of fostering connection and cooperation, underscoring how collective action can lead to positive change in the world. 4. Embracing life's contradictions. Throughout his writings, Camus emphasizes the importance of embracing the contradictions inherent in life. Rather than seeking absolute answers or solutions, he encourages individuals to acknowledge their complexity and to find beauty in the struggle for understanding. This acceptance of life's contradictions fosters resilience and adaptability, qualities that are essential in navigating the uncertainties of existence. 5. Relevance in the 21st century. Camus' ideas resonate profoundly in the contemporary era, where social and political challenges abound, and existential anxieties persist. His emphasis on individual responsibility and the necessity of ethical action provides a valuable framework for addressing. In a world marked by division and uncertainty, Camus' call for human connection and solidarity remains pertinent, offering a guide for building understanding and cooperation among diverse groups. 6. Confrontation with absurdity. Ultimately, Camus suggests that by confronting the absurd with courage and compassion, individuals can carve out their own meanings and develop a sense of purpose. This active engagement with life, facing its uncertainties, challenges, and tragedies, becomes a means of asserting one's existence and contributing to the collective human experience. By living authentically and ethically in an indifferent world, individuals not only affirm their humanity, but also champion the values that can foster a more just and meaningful existence. In summary, Albert Camus' philosophical and literary legacy lies in his profound exploration of the human condition amidst the absurd. His rejection of nihilism, advocacy for revolt, and emphasis on shared values provide readers with enduring insights into the complexities of existence. Camus challenges individuals to embrace life's contradictions and engage meaningfully with the world, encouraging a commitment to ethical principles that resonate across generations and remain relevant in contemporary discussions of meaning and purpose.